TechCrunch watchers know that not everybody in Washington, D.C. is well versed in technology. In fact, very few people are, especially in the House of Representatives. But one guy who does know his technology is Congressman Darrell Issa from Southern California. Congressman Issa, welcome to TechCrunch TV and Innovate 2016.
Well, it's good to be here on the set, but it's also good to be at these debates where policy will include, I hope, some recognition that the 21st century has already started everywhere but in Washington.
So, Congressman Issa, how did you learn about the 21st century?
Well, I started in the military in technology. I ran a computer facility for the military, came out and started an electronics company, mostly radio frequency work. But like everybody else, we drifted right into connected products, and today my old company is part of the Internet of Things.
Congressman Issa, what does Washington, D.C. need to learn from California in general, both Southern California and Silicon Valley?
Disruption. One of the problems with bureaucrats is they love order. They can plan from the day they go to work to the day they retire, a very steady sort of a world of budgets and annual promotions, and they really don't understand the idea that destroying a whole department of government could be the best thing for government and for the American people.
So what needs to be destroyed?
Well, the list is endless. I'll give you one. You ask yourself, if we created the Department of Education to promote improvements in education, why is it we're going the wrong direction? There's nothing wrong with having a Department of Education. There's something wrong with having it when it doesn't succeed. The cost of a census has been going up, not down, because they don't innovate. Today, we have so many legacy systems that don't talk to each other because nobody's had a plan to have interoperable data. The government produces more PDFs that cannot be machine searched than they ever will open up data for real innovation in the private sector. Those are some examples.
Well, what does disruption actually mean in the political realm? Are we seeing it with the success of candidates like Donald Trump and Ted Cruz?
Well, you're seeing a desire for change. Real disruption is about a vision for specific changes. An open government philosophy, something I've worked on in the House, is not promising transparency, it's not promising change. It's actually saying, these are the innovations which I will force to happen so that in fact government becomes open, transparent, accountable, and quite frankly, more usable by the American people.
Openness and transparency, Congressman Issa, what actually has to happen? Are these institutional reforms, economic reforms, cultural ones?
Well, I think the most important thing is that government since 2001, more than ever, any time in our lifetime, knows more about you, and you know less about your government. The fact is that vast amounts of data are collected by the government and sequestered away from any opportunity for you to use them, with a few exceptions, and some of them are pretty neat. Today you can find out where every airplane is because they opened up that database so you could see it, so you could know where your incoming flight was. But for the most part, what government takes in, they firewall off, even while not being able to stop people like Snowden from mining some of the most classified information.
But wasn't Edward Snowden making government more transparent and open?
Well, it's not for him to decide what secrets to give away. The fact is that because of the Snowden revelation, additional legislation has been passed to limit some of the activities of government without a valid warrant. But, and the but is big, there's been endless embarrassments around the world that has caused our allies to be less willing to work with us.
We've talked before, you and I off camera, about the Internet of Things. I get the sense perhaps you see this as a platform for a new world of transparency and openness.
Well, absolutely. If you're going to connect the Internet of Things, tens of billions of microprocessors will now be communicating both locally in mesh and across the internet in some cases. And that standardization of communication is the basis under which all communication should be. The idea that a device is known where it exists, what it's doing, and can communicate, but at the same time can protect itself from an outside influence is what we need to have in government. It's what you and I need to have in our personal lives. And so while we're connecting the world, we're also going to be building those encrypted capabilities, end-to-end encrypted capability, to limit only to authorized users that material. And I say that because we're in a struggle against the FBI and other agencies who want to eliminate hard encryption because they believe they need to know what you're doing. Well, in fact, what they would do, if we allowed them, is they would make every American vulnerable to the bad guys.
Congressman Issa, what's going on in San Diego that Silicon Valley should be aware of? How are you going to become the leaders? How are you going to turn California upside down?
Well, we call ourselves Telecom Gulch. We're number 3 in biotech, and we're number 1 in technology related to cellular technology in the world. And that's extremely important because
the weather's better too as well.
And the weather is superb. But what we do in San Diego is we find ways to pack more data into existing bandwidth. And that's going to be critical as more and more data flows around the world.
Any concerns, anything negative about this ongoing digital revolution? Artificial intelligence is, of course, extremely exciting, but there are some people who are suggesting that it could kill jobs. Does that worry you?
You know, there's nothing better for progress of man than, in fact, freeing up time for new things. If you look at the agrarian society of a caveman, they worked endlessly and had nothing. What did, in fact, the advancements since the beginning of time do? In every case, it actually laid people off. Today, only a fraction of the population works on farm. We've laid off 80% of the workers, 90% of the workers that were on farms, and yet we're not unemployed. When people are not needed for a job, that frees them up for innovation and new jobs. So killing jobs through efficiency is the best way to create wealth and ultimately those new jobs that come with our intellect, not our back.
How important will the 2016 election, do you think, in terms of the history of innovation in America? Is it a critical election?
Well, I think it's a critical election when you look at some of the generational opportunities. Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, these folks they're pretty old, and they're certainly not thinking 21st century innovation. They don't come from it, they haven't been involved in it. You know, the business of government that Hillary Clinton's been in, or the business of real estate, isn't very high tech. When you look at the Ted Cruz's, the Marco Rubio, you're looking at a generational change. These are people that grew up in a connected world, and they understand the need to keep going that direction. So it is a struggle between a generation that understands where we're going and a generation that maybe understands where we've been.
So what you're saying is that a Marco Rubio or a Ted Cruz, these should be the candidates of, say, Silicon Valley. These should be the candidates who are thinking about the future rather than the past.
If you're looking for Silicon Valley's logical candidates, you are looking at this generational shift. There's no question at all. I'm over 60. I'm an exception to have been in technology. Well, but I've been fortunate. I've been in technology all of my adult life. But at the same time, I recognize that it's a 20-something-year-old individual working on apps and visualizing where we can go in small connected devices that we need to harness. And so, no question at all, when I look at my candidates, I look at candidates who look to the future.
Donald Trump, of course, stresses his business experience, but you're saying technology in this sense trumps, excusing the pun, technology.
No question at all that business success in leveraging real estate is to be admired, but it's not the same as the innovation economy that we need and that TechCrunch works so hard to promote. That's going to be about breaking down borders, while at the same time empowering people to protect their innovations. And that includes patents, it includes copyrights, it includes a lot of things that in an intellectual economy are critical. Donald Trump understands the value of the Trump name, but does he understand the value of the software around the Internet of Things? I don't think so.
Well, there you have it. Darrell Issa with perhaps the most cogent argument of why you should vote for Senator Rubio or Cruz over Donald Trump. It's a real pleasure to have you on TechCrunch TV, and I hope you'll come back again during the general election. Thank you so much.
Look forward to it.